Hey everybody, we're here on the bench and we're working on some Scout, I believe 800, Scout 800 series parts. And here's a rocker panel. And I've made a few of these already with a customer that comes in, and I'm helping them make some Scout parts. What you see right here on the bench, this is a piece of 18 gauge. It's stainless steel. It's 304. It's kind of polished, but it's got a lot of fingerprints on it. And what I'm going to do is make a set of rockers out of stainless steel. Kick it up a notch. It'll get you away from at least the outside of it, you know, rusting like that. And the rocker panels always take a beating. So make a set of stainless steel ones, and these things will last forever. And then inside here, there's a couple little brackets. And I don't have the pattern for those with me, but we'll make the rocker today, and I'll show you what's happening with that. On this rocker, you've got a double bend here, reverse bend if you will, and then we got to come across the top and then put that flange for welding. So we're gonna mess around with this whole top first. Put that in the brake, and then it has a curve here, radius, and we'll shrink that in there. But we'll get started. I'm going to make a couple lines on this. We'll take it over to the brake. We'll start putting our bends in. Okay, there's our piece in the brake. And we're going to put our first 90-degree bend in here right now. This stainless is tough. Sometimes you got to bump it a little bit. Okay, that's what we got. We got our first 90 in there. See what we got? Now we're going to just flip it around. This is our 90. We're just going to take it out and we're going to stick it right back in there. Now our apron, in most handbrake, the apron is usually 1/2 inch. That's what that offset is. So we put it right back in there. Make sure we're up against the apron. Clamp it down, put our second bend in there. Okay. This is the bottom of the rocker. There's our step. This will bend again, and then there'll be a flange up there. And I'll show you what we do next. I'll take you over and I'll compare it to the other one so you can follow along and see what I'm doing. Okay, that double bend I just put in there, that represents this part of the rocker. That's a 1/2 by 1/2 right there. 1/2 by 1/2. And that's what we have in there. So, our next bend, we're going to take that, we're going to send it straight back. That's going to be that part, that step part right there. So we'll put that in next. But just so you can follow along, I started with kind of in the middle because it's easier to get that bend in first than try and go after it later. So we got that in. Now we'll work on this other bend. Okay, this bend here is also 1/2 inch. And again, our apron's 1/2 inch, so we just jam it right against there and we pull the bend up. Okay, you can see how our rocker's coming out. Now we're going to lay out, and we're going to bend another flange on there. But I just started with a random width of material, so I didn't have to figure all the bend allowances here. So what I'm going to do now is figure out my flat and my flange, mark that, go over to the shear that off to the perfect size, and I'll come right back with you. Okay, there they are laying on the bench. You can see our original on the left and a stainless steel one on the right. We have our first upper part, all the bends in there. Now we're going to bend that little bottom piece, and we're going to bend the flanges over on the edge, and then we'll take it over to the kick shrinker and we'll put that that little bit of shape in there. I'll put the gauge on it so you could follow along and see how we get that curve in there. But another little bit of measuring. I'll trim it to final size on the shear, and then we'll put some bends in it. Okay, the bottom of that rocker, if you can see it sitting there on the bench, it kicks up a little bit. It's not a 90. And we've got it set up in the brake. And we're going to pull that up. And we're going to just match it to our original rocker there. And like I say, we'll match that. We'll bring it up a little bit. And then I'll come in here and I'll hold the rocker up, make sure we got the right angle. I'll check it with the square. And then we'll move on to bending the sides up and shrinking that edge in. Okay, before we can bend these sides up, we've got to pull out some material here and down on the bottom right here. So I just laid it out. We'll go over to the bandsaw, we'll notch that out, we'll notch the top out on both sides. Then we'll bring each side up and put a flange on there, and that's what we're going to bite onto with the kick shrinker to shrink that around. So I'm going to head over to the bandsaw now, cut that out. Okay, there's our panel prepped for this end bend here. And because we got these flanges bent up already, we got to head over to the finger brake. And I'll take you over there and show you that. Okay, we're going to use this finger right here. And that'll let the sides go by it. But I can't get the camera set up in here, it's too tight. But I'm just going to come over here with the piece, bend those two ends in the finger brake here, and I'll meet you back at the bench. Okay, our ends are bent over, and you can see this is still just flat right now. This one has a nice contour to it. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take the contour gauge and we're going to stick it on there like so. And now we have a shape that we can work towards when we're on the kick shrinker. So we'll make that one wind up just like this one. And we're going to do that. Let me see if I can get you over there. We're going to do that on the kick shrinker. That guy right in there. And I'll get us set up over there, and I'll show you how we kick shrink that thing around. Okay, here we are over at the kick shrinker. And like I say, it's just a jaw type shrinker. And it's just a piece of scrap metal. And what it's going to do is just gather that material up. I think you can see it starting to shrink it around there. We're not going to go at it real aggressive like that and make marks on everything. We're just going to put a couple little shrinks on each of the ends of that panel, and we're going to keep checking it with the gauge. And I'm going to go grab the panel and I'll show you how we do that next. Okay, we're just going to grab this nice and easy. Put a shrink in the center. Move to this side. Put another one in there. I'm going to get a little bit more. And one up here. That stainless is a little tougher than regular steel. Sometimes you got to really hit it a couple times to get it to shrink. Okay, let me see if you can. Well, it's going to be hard to get us in here, but you could see with that little bit of shrinking, we hit it pretty close. It'd be easier for me to show you that on the bench. I'm gonna reset up on the bench. I'll show you what we got. Okay, guys, we got that shrunk around in that area there, and it fits our contour gauge perfectly on both ends. But when you shrink something on the end, it's not going to continue that shrink and that contour all the way through. So you can see, I think you can pick this up, just off of where we shrunk it, it needs to be raised up in this area here. Now if this is just a piece of mild steel, some 18 gauge, I just put that on the bench, and with my hands and my body I would just kind of whip that into shape. Stainless steel is so tough, you can't just do it by hand. It's a real tough material, hard to bend, much harder than regular mild steel. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it over to the power hammer, and I'm going to raise this center section. I'm going to raise this whole center section up on the hammer. And then we'll come back, we'll fit it to the gauge, we'll keep fussing with it until we get that center section raised up and we get it to the shape we like. And like I say, it's only because it's stainless steel and it's so tough. A regular mild steel won't be finished already. But I'm going to head over to the power hammer and we'll raise this center section. Okay, just a little bit of hammering, and you can see that center section. I think you can see it. Let me make sure you can see that. Okay, right there. Okay, that center section now is raised up and it fits real nice. Just a little bit of hammering, raise that right up. And like I say, stainless steel is a bear, so you really got to put some power to it. But it fits the whole way down now, and it's going to be a nice rocker panel. I'm going to just dust over that with a DA sander so you can see that the surface of the panel isn't ruined or anything. It looks like it's got a lot of marks in it, but I'm just going to run over it with a DA real quick and show you how nice it is. Okay, that was less than a minute on the sander, and you can see there's no surface imperfections or anything. Power hammer is powerful enough to move the metal, but I didn't have a real sharp radius die in there, so it didn't really mess up the stainless at all. That is a perfect surface, ready for primer and paint. You can see the reflection off there, it's nice and even. And you can see again, that's what the power hammer does, but there's no distortion. You can't feel any indentations with your hand or anything. But you have to hit it hard enough to move it. And the inside will clean up exactly the same as the outside. And there is one rocker panel for the Scout. I believe 800. Like I say, I'm working with another guy here that's familiar with Scouts. I'm just making some parts. And hope you can see that okay. Let me make sure. Okay, I think you can get the idea that they're both the same. It's a very accurate reproduction, and it's ready to weld into your vehicle. And like I say, being stainless steel, this will never rot out on you. you can see what happens to the plain steel ones. Nothing wrong with plain steel. Don't get the wrong idea. Nothing wrong with that. You clean it and you put some epoxy primer and some good high quality paint on there. And maybe if you're here in the Northeast or in the snow belt or rust belt, wherever you are, you put some fluid film in there, and that fluid film really does a nice job on keeping things rust free. And there is, hard to put one on top of the other, but there is our accurate reproduction of a rocker panel in 304 stainless steel. So I hope you enjoy seeing how they're made, and I have a pattern now, so if anybody is looking for rocker panels, I do have them, and they will be something I can offer you. So if you need any different Scout parts, I'm starting to make them now. And I don't have a whole lot of patterns just yet, so if you need something that you have a pattern of, I'd be happy to make it for you. And we'll try and keep these Scouts on the road. Okay, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I will catch you next time.